This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
You have a rich person's name. Like, you should be a billionaire with the name Winfield.
And co-host Marnie Winfield.
Checking the microphones, going good.
It is the 11th of February, 2023. My name's Corey Winfield.
My name's Marnie Winfield.
And this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Just got done doing a podcast with our buddy Adam Brothers, who was actually in the open there. He's got his own podcast called the Stone Soup Recovery Podcast. And I kind of felt bad, Marnie, because I really wanted you to talk more.
Oh, it's okay. It's totally fine.
Yeah. Because your story is so amazing. It really is. You know, I was telling somebody about it just the other day, and I was like, you know, she started out, you know, just doing weekends, overnights in a treatment center, and now look where she's at, you know, and she's going back to school. She's being asked to talk at things, and it's very inspiring for women out there. It really is.
Yeah, it's unreal, actually. Surreal, actually. I think it's a better word.
Let's talk about it.
You want to talk about me?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I think anybody who's today sober, you know, and has been through the struggle of addiction, their story's worth telling, for sure. You know, some people had to go through more misery than others, pain, hurt, and agony. I had plenty of that. But I also am unique, too, because, you know, like, I mean, I hit multiple rock bottoms, but I think the biggest change that I realized, and kind of part of what I really want to share when I share, is that the main reason why I finally made the change to be sober and stay sober was because I knew I had to do it for myself. And it sounds kind of cliche, and it sounds like something that, you know, more often than not, people will throw that out there, but it truly has a lot of meaning to me. I was thinking about that when you were sharing with Adam about your story, and, you know, I can't say that he made a point, like he couldn't identify one thing that he would have put above drinking. Mm-hmm. And I can say, when I was reflecting on that, I'm like, I don't think I really could either. I mean, jobs, education, family, relationships, friendships, you know, homes, cars, you name it, you know, I would let it go in the name of alcohol and drugs, honestly. And that is just, you know, speaks to how truly involved in my addiction I was. And it's sad, you know, and I think recognizing that and finally, you know, nobody sat me down and asked me the question they asked you, is like, what's it going to take? It was more like, I'm freaking exhausted. And if I'm going to do this, it needs to, because I honestly, from the bottom of my soul, need and know I want to change. Need and know are two things that I had going for me for a long time. I knew I needed to change, and I knew I wanted to change. I mean, you know, but to actually make that decision and do it for myself, wanting to do it for myself, made it more concrete and made my goal that more important and achievable for me, because it all circled back to, I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I wasn't trying to fix any relationship or appease anybody's desires for me to do anything. It was like, if I'm going to survive and I'm going to find myself again, only way I'm going to do that is being clean and sober for myself. So, you know, and then the rest is history, you know. So,
but when you took that job, though, you could have went, and I think you had planned, and maybe you did. I don't think you did, though, some waitressing. But I know you were doing other odd and end jobs for people. Mm-hmm. But when you took the job, though, it's like overnights, like you're like peon person, you know, like you look at the company list of important people, and there you are at the very bottom.
I was
like you got to, but you have to start somewhere.
Oh yeah. No, I was mindful about that decision, and it wasn't trying to be like overzealous. I wasn't like, the only way I'm going to stay sober is if I'm, still connected to a substance use agency. It wasn't that. It was that during the time when I actually took in treatment, which I took extensions to the point where they're like, Marnie, it's time for you. It's time for you to go. Like, you come up, because you can come up and, I don't want to say come up for reasons, but you can validate the reasons why you think you need to stay there. And if they're real and you can basically back those up, then insurance will have to continue to, support you there. And so I kept doing that. And I was like, no, I have more I need to work on. Like, I'm not ready yet. And it wasn't, I guess maybe a little bit of it was anxiety and fear, but part of it was that I really wanted to get my ducks in a row. Like, what am I going to do when I leave here? Because that's what kicked me in the ass before, was I left there and I never ever felt awesome about it. Sometimes when I left treatment, I was like, this is not going to work. I know it's not. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, how long is this going to last? Because I would go back to the same relationship or the same environment or the same job or this, and that's why when people say you need to do things different, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why people say that, to make changes.
And you had plans to, originally you were going to go with a girlfriend and get an apartment or something. That's
why I knew I wasn't ready yet. I grew even for the 68 days or however long I was in treatment for. My plan changed from day 20, day 14. Because, I can tell you the first probably 2 weeks I was in treatment, I felt the same way I felt the other 4 times I'd been in treatment, or 3 times. It was like I was going through the motions. And I had this, I'm going to be completely transparent because this does not look cool for me. But, when I was younger, my parents, I came from a family that was held education very highly. And being educated was important, and getting good grades was important. So that was kind of a core value that was instilled in me from like day one. And how you get good grades, you study and you do well on tests and you show up and you be accounted for in attendance and you participate. And I was treating that thing like school. I literally was like wanting to get a good grade in rehab. That's really what I was trying to do. Because I wasn't trying to be a shining star or anything, but I wanted to do what it meant to do to look like I was really embracing what was being taught. Because that's what they do there. They teach you things. When what I really needed to do was soak it in for myself and start believing in what I was, and do the work for me and be honest on those worksheets and not just fill them out to get them done and make them sound okay, but to really dig deep and talk about the hard stuff and the scary stuff and the sad stuff and the painful stuff and the shameful stuff and the embarrassing stuff and really put myself out there. So, and then, day 20, my plan was different and I felt different about it than day 30 and day 45 and, and so on and so forth. And then finally, when I wrote down, like, this is what I'm going to do when I leave here. If I have a prayer of staying clean and sober, this is what I'm going to have to do, because this is a journey for life. That's the other piece I embraced too, was like, this is not just about my time here. In fact, this time here is just a sliver of moments put together for me to try to prepare myself for when I leave. And then that's when the real challenge starts. And that's when the real tests are had. And so that's what I needed to be ready for. And what did that look like for me? So, okay, sober living, that's wonderful. I had tried that, and not saying that I might not have tried it again, but I played the tape forward, and what options do I have? I laid them all out, and who and what is present at those options, And my mom was always an option for me to live with after I left a rehab A, B, or C, or D. But I just always didn't choose that because somewhere back in the back of my head is I was like, I don't want mom to really know how I'm doing.
Right.
So I was like, that's the answer. I need to be exactly where I'm being held accountable for by somebody who I do care what she thinks about me. And I don't want to live lies anymore and hide what I'm doing. And so if I'm going to do that, then I will have to be clean and sober when I'm around her. Okay, so that's where I'm going to live. Now what? Where am I going to work? I knew I couldn't work at a restaurant. Nothing bad about the service industry, but for those of you who know about it, it is peppered with drug and alcohol use. And not everybody abuses it or is addicted to it, but it's definitely part of the culture. And I was like, not going to work for me. I can't do that. So it was kind of a process of elimination of what I wanted to do. And then at the end of the day, I was like, well, I know what I am good at, and I know where I'm going to be living. I didn't have a vehicle yet, but I did have supportive parents. And I knew that I was doing all of this. I was doing for myself and with the whole goal of creating an environment and a life for myself that promoted me in my recovery. And so I got like an $11 an hour job as a midnight worker part-time for addiction treatment services. And, and I did the best that I could while I was there. And I was true to my job and I was true to my capabilities. I didn't try to climb the corporate ladder because there was no ladder to freaking climb. It was just show up and do your job and stay sober and interact with other people who are healthy for you and stay as far away from anybody who was part of your life before that was part of my, drinking and using life. I cut out every single person, and so there I was and, met you and established new relationships with the people that I was working with at ATS. And, eventually put myself out there and applied for a job for the assistant position of recovery homes. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this. And I did. And then I got promoted to manager and I've been doing that for 3 years now. 2.5 years I've been doing that job.
And last year you've been also going back to school full time. Yeah.
That's the other piece too that I had in my treatment plan. I made my own treatment plan while I was in rehab for myself. My to-do list, my goals and stuff. My vision board, if you will. Yeah. And I knew that nagged at me. You didn't know that really, how bad that nagged at me when we first got together.
Your vision board?
No. The fact that I needed to finish school. It was this that piece that just sits there that you just it. Sometimes when you start thinking about it at night, it makes you so angry at yourself that you're just you can't fall back to sleep and that thought won't go away.
We have a bachelor's degree.
I know I have a bachelor's degree. But I had already started my master's back when I was on one of my not so legitimate stretches of sobriety. And the reason why I had to drop out of school, withdraw from school, is because I knew I wasn't going to get a failing grade, and I knew I was relapsed. I had already relapsed, and so I was like, I'm not going to pretend like I can do this because I can't. And so there was this that was kind of this big hovering thing because not only was it something that I knew I wanted to do or have that degree. It was why did I want to have that degree? There had to have been something there. But maybe I need to revisit what that looks like. Because I had spent a lot of time and a lot of money, and taken almost, I took 3 semesters of schooling and I did well. And so it was this thing that just sat there because I hadn't completed it. And so I was like, I got to finish this. So I'll be graduating in August with my master's in social work.
Yay.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Actually, they're having me walk in May because
So-
they only have like 2 commencements, I guess, a year. And so they kind of like consolidate the people that are in the offset semester. So I'm like, so I still have a whole semester to go, but you want me to walk across and grab a piece of paper?
I can give you that paper. I can make it look just like it's supposed to.
No.
I'll do it for free for you.
Oh, wow.
You hang it on your wall. Yep, graduated.
No, this
bachelor.
is that's
How does anybody check that?
what, the fact that you're that you have a degree?
Yeah.
When you have to submit your transcripts.
For what? For your job?
Corey,
you
that's
just tell
not-
somebody
I don't
that
live
you
that.
have.
I
I'm
don't
going to
live
start
that
telling
way.
people I have a BS.
Yeah, you have BS. You've got tons of BS. That's about it.
Maybe. But aren't you glad that you didn't go live with that girlfriend of yours?
Oh yeah, that was only like on probably that morning's plan. That probably fizzled out by later that afternoon. You just held on to it because you thought that when I said girlfriend, that you thought that meant I was lesbian.
Right, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's what I heard, and I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But-
I call my good friends that are girls girlfriends.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's from my grandma. My grandma actually used to always say, "You're going to have your girlfriends over?" That's where
What do they call that? Leading you or baiting you or
grooming
you? Yeah.
No, because my grandma was the farthest through. You didn't know my grandma, but that's not what she was insinuating at all.
Oh.
No. She was very kind of like by the book, No. No, it's just funny that you had thought that. But yeah, like I said, lots of growth and lots of real thought and mindful decision making happened while I was there. And that's the first real time. And I'm not talking about time like days of time, like minutes of time, but the first real period of my life where what I was doing it with full intention, which was definitely not the case. That's why I feel so confident. And I say the word confident being very hesitantly because I don't want people to feel like I feel confident about like that I'm never going to, that I got this. When people say, I've got this. It's that I literally revisit how I'm doing with my sobriety every single day. I never did that before.
And you've done sober living before already.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't get kicked out for drinking or anything.
No.
So like you've done the sober living and got out and then went right back to it.
Yeah. And that's
so
that's part of the reason why I don't like to really, it's hard to gauge where people are at in their stage of change with their substance use disorder because you can't really say, just because somebody's going by the rules and doing what they're supposed to be doing while they're there. I mean, yeah, that's a piece of it. That's good. That's a good sign for sure. But in terms of like long-term change, we don't really know. You don't really know. That's all inside you.
right.
I mean, there's tons of people out there that maybe don't even go to rehab. Maybe I bet you if you go to the rooms of AA and talk to the people there who never went to rehab, didn't ever get a therapist, didn't ever go to outpatient, and they actually found, maybe it was faith-based. Who knows what, but they made the decision inside from the depth of their soul that they were done and it was time for change. And they had to believe in themselves and let people help you and be vulnerable and be like, I have a problem. Like, I tried to do this before and it didn't work. And so what do I do now to make it different? That's what change is all about. Anything, at a job, at a hobby, anything. It's like if if you need to make changes, you need to get good at it, or you need to be successful at it, you know, you learn from your mistakes.
Because life gets hard.
Yeah.
You know, and it's twice as hard when you're using substances, you know, and it just gets harder and harder, and you have to change something. Otherwise, it's just going to keep going down and down and down and down. A lot of people are afraid. I was afraid to reach out for help. Thought I'd be fired. Thought everybody would know.
Plus, you didn't want to look bad because you were popular, famous DJ man.
Couldn't be that guy. And I didn't know what to do. Didn't know what was acceptable. In some places of work, it might not be. And that's fine. You don't need to work there anyway. There's tons of other jobs out there. Mm-hmm. You know, if a place isn't going to understand you taking the time, whether it be just to hit a meeting or whatever it may be, then, you know, maybe you don't need to go there anymore for money or numbers that go into your account. Mm-hmm. But I just think it's interesting, though, the sober living thing, because I looked at it. I had never completed sober living. I went to sober living one time. I half-assed it, got kicked out for drinking. That's what happens. And for me, leaving treatment, going home to my mom's wasn't a good option for me. I didn't think. I needed to go out and live on my own. I needed to do it on my own. Mm-hmm. That was the only way I was going to do it. You know, if I had any kind of cushion that was going to catch me, I was going to take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. And I knew that. And I feared that. So putting on the big boy pants, taking jobs that I didn't necessarily want, even though ended up pretty kick-ass. But I had to go do that. I had to go live with a bunch of guys. I had to clean bathrooms. Those are the things that I had to do. And now I love cleaning your bathroom for you. You're probably like, why don't you do it more? But
I love that you clean my bathroom.
I do. And it's after cleaning up after 16 guys, I mean, your bathroom's, it's a breeze. Mm-hmm. So I like doing that for you, you know, but it taught you that by doing something, it's cool, I gotta clean the bathroom. Well, you're really cleaning it for other people. You know, that's how you kind of look at it. And when you start doing things for other people, you start building up some self-confidence, or I don't even know if it's self-confidence, but you feel good. Mm-hmm. You know, when you complete a task, you feel good. So that's what I needed to do. And I needed to go take that route. And it's interesting that you've already completed that route. Like you said, you can go through there, do everything you're supposed to and get out, and then go set the world on fire. Mm-hmm. You have to be in that right mindset, and you have to be in that state of mind where I'm going to change. Yep. I'm going to change something, and it starts today. You know, like when I moved into the sober living, I was like, all right, here we go. You know, like this is a sign, because I'm way up here, 4 hours away from my family, and I don't know anybody, which was a good thing. You know, just walking into a store, nobody knows who I am. It was wonderful. It was a great feeling. I wasn't running from my problems, but it was nice to start over, to have a place to start over. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was just like, yep, I got to do that. And, you know, for you, it was kind of the opposite. You know, you needed to go back. And not that there was something that was going to catch you if you fell, which of course there probably was, but that it was a different situation. Mm-hmm. You know, but you still had that mindset of, nope, I'm going to change. And you weren't going to go back and try to do the same thing over again. And the fact that, you know, you were going to your mom's and you were held accountable for what you were doing, and you knew your mom wasn't going to allow you to drink there. Mm-hmm. So if you would have, that wouldn't have went very well. Yeah.
And having the conversation, like, this might sound completely crazy, is like, basically I was just like, this is what I need to do. And I think that this is where I need to be. And this is what I need from you to help me. You know, like, this is a plan. Everything was kind of, you know, I had put a lot of thought into it. And, I mean, you're completely right that, I think that the sober living was a growing experience for me. So, like, here's the thing. I mean, that was like 20 minutes or whatever, not even probably, of literally decades of trial and error. Mm. So, you know, when I say right now, I can sit in this chair and say, I feel really good about where I'm at with my recovery today. do I think that's going to change tomorrow? I don't think so. Do I think it will change a week from now, how I feel about my recovery? I don't think so. And I feel pretty good about that. But the only reason I can say that and feel okay about saying that is because I know that I'm going to work as hard for my recovery tomorrow as I did today. You know, and when I say work hard, I'm not talking about blood, sweat, and tears. I'm talking about like being mindful about what I'm doing, being careful about decisions that I make and who I'm talking to, doing good things for other people, you know, being selfless, taking care of myself, you know, praying to God, talking to my family. I don't know. I mean, like making sure that I'm brushing my teeth. I don't know, going to class, doing my homework, things, you know, just being mindful about making sure I'm doing the best I can for the day, because some days are better than others. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, every day.
I should probably get better at that. I don't know.
Brushing your teeth?
That too. And no, just mindfulness, I guess. Because it doesn't take much. And, you know, I've been stressed out and worked up last couple of weeks. And if I'm not careful, like the other night, I had to go to meetings. I'm just like, I need to hit a couple meetings. And you really have to be careful, because if I didn't go hit those meetings, and not that those meetings like took everything away, still stressed, but it gives a little bit of relief, and it gives you a minute to stop the world and to do some self-care, even if I'm just listening.
Yeah.
You know, if I go in there and I can get some stuff off my chest, that's even better. But you have to take that for yourself, because it'll build up in you, and the next thing you know, it's the size of an elephant, and you're and then just out of control. And then guess who's waiting right around the corner? Hey, I know how to make you feel better. Nobody's gonna know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got 4 years, Corey. It's okay.
Yeah, and shame on me for not bringing up the thing that I do the most. And I think maybe that's why I didn't bring it up, because I do it the most, is reflect on my gratitude. Like really kind of recognizing the things that I do have. And that's something that a lot of people don't do very often. And literally, like at night, thinking to myself, like, I have a really good life right now. Like I have a safe and supported life, and I'm loved and cared for. And, you know, all those cheesy self-affirmations, you know, like I'm wonderful, I'm great. No, I'm not talking about that, but those are good too, if that's your thing. But no, kind of like, and giving yourself credit. Like I earned this day of sobriety today. Yeah.
Yep.
I earned it, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow, and then get excited about it. So.
Well, I appreciate you opening up today and talking about you.
You're welcome.
Because I think you're a big deal, not just in my world, but in the community here. And I think you're very inspiring to women in early recovery. And I really dig that the company you work for are nice to women. You know, the CEO is a woman, and she's in recovery. That makes a world of difference. And I've seen just great changes happening there. And it's a family. It really feels like a family of people that work at Addiction Treatment Services here in Traverse City. And I mean, it's just, it's a great thing to see. You know, like a lot of industries, they shun women or whatever. And then they say, no, we pay them just as much, whatever, man. This is a real atmosphere of empowering women. And, you know, kudos to them. And, you know, I wish you made more money.
I think that's just across the board. The whole profession is not recognized enough in terms of being paid for salaries and what have you. But it just rolled out that way. Like we have men that work for ATS for sure. It just rolled out that way. And it is true though, you know, like there's a collaboration piece and in a respect and a like promoting each other. Like nobody, it's not cutthroat. Like there's no, you know, everybody wants everybody to be the best them. And like literally we carry over our entire mission we have like not half the staff or 3/4 of the staff is not even recognized as a person in recovery. Like they don't identify as somebody who's ever struggled with substance use disorder. That doesn't make them less or more of a helpful teammate, you know, but we all just learn from each other and help each other. And that overflows and is reflected in the interaction with all of our clients, because everybody there honestly, sincerely, and genuinely cares about every person that walks through that door. For whatever reason it is that got them there to work for ATS, everybody has that same feeling about the job that they do there. And, you know, it's real. And that's why I think that we are, at least, and this is me being biased because whatever, but is because we're not BSing anybody. You know, I'm not selling anybody anything. Like, we're here for you. Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of the whole thing. Like, you can come through the doors or not. You can, you know, stay or leave. Like, we're still going to be here. We still want to help you no matter how you're feeling. And also, too, if we can't help you where you're at with your substance use disorder, we want to get you to where you can get help. You know, what does that look like? And those are hard questions sometimes to have, you know, to have to relay. We want everybody who walks through the door to, you know, have the miracle happen. But substance use disorder is a crappy disease. And, you know, but we do what we can. And we have a lot of people who succeed and a lot of people that, you know, carry on what we do out into the world. It's beautiful.
Yes. Well, thank you again for sharing.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on, Corey.
Yeah. Hey, anytime you're available, that'd be much appreciated if you'd come in here and do a podcast with me.
So many times you've been like, you're going to do your story. And I'm like, yeah. Okay.
So that's how I just got to do it in pieces.
Yeah.
So I'll get it out of you.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of pieces, but, you know.
But I think it's important for women to hear that and for families to hear that too. And not that we can tell a mom or a dad, like, hey, no, make your son go to sober living, or no, let him come home. Like, who knows, you know? But for us, it was two different things. Like, if I would have went home, it wouldn't have worked. And for you to go home, that's exactly what you needed. Mm-hmm. You know, where a person's at, and those questions, you know, that you were saying that you had to ask yourself, and it's like, maybe ask them that. I don't know.
Ask the questions, ask yourself the questions, and be 100% honest with the answers.
I'm saying with the parent, like, what, maybe they should ask those questions. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
We don't have a book out yet.
Yeah.
Professional radio broadcaster's guide to addiction for moms.
Yeah. Right.
My mom would.
All it is, it says what not to do. That's all the whole book is.
Yeah.
Just don't do this.
All right, Mom.
Don't do
help
that.
me.
Don't do that.
My mom could help me co-write it. Don't do this. This. Don't let them do this.
Yeah.
Don't give up on this. But I appreciate you listening, though. Thanks again to Marnie for coming by.
From the other room.
Sitting in her co-host chair and telling her story a little bit.
No, I appreciate you being so flexible with standing by me with all the other stuff that I have that takes me away from my participation in the podcast, because I know I'm doing work on my computer, and I hear you like doing your solo show. And I'm like, oh man, but that's the thing, I'm making boundaries for myself. That's part of like healthy living, is like, I know there's things I need to do to get done. And sometimes you're going to have to shave off time in some areas and put it in other areas. And it's a balance. Mm-hmm. It's all about balance.
Yeah, it is. And I'm proud of you.
Thanks, babe. I love you.
Aw. Happy Valentine's Day early.
Happy Valentine's Day early.
Tune in, though, for the Valentine's Day show. As I'm doing it solo. Maybe? I don't know.
I'll try to do it. Actually, I can do it on Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it on Tuesday because I have asynchronous class, so I just have something to do. I have to work on something, but I'll try to figure it. I'll balance and prioritize.
All right. We'll talk about all of our crappy exes and how they suck at life and how awesome we are today. Just kidding.
Okay.
Maybe.
I was going to say, no, you're not. I'm game. I mean, here's one piece about that is I don't know if those people actually deserve or are worth any of our breaths or minutes of our life
There's
anymore.
only like one bad one. The rest, I'm the one who screwed it all up. So they're probably like, yeah, dude, good riddance.
Mine, I'm sure more were mutual than anything else, but I have a couple of doozies.
Okay. Well, we're not really going to talk about that.
Good.
We're going to talk about football. Now, tune in Tuesday for a very special Valentine's Day show with a super surprise.
Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Go Chiefs. Super Bowl's tomorrow. Get the Eagles?
I don't know. I was already off the microphone. That makes me say I don't have to vote.
Go Chicken Wings.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Win a bunch of free shit from 217 Recovery. Go to the app or the website, 217recovery.com.